Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episodes 8 and 9, the finale of Dragon Prince Book 4. And yeah, I believe I mentioned at the beginning and everything, and whatnot that I had heard like kind of mixed things on this volume compared to others, and I think this is mostly positive. Like I've been saying throughout watching that there's been a couple things that have annoyed me a bit. Um, Viren especially. But overall, I think it's been really, really good. Uh, it has definitely stepped up the queer representation. The story is going in a good way. The time skip was actually done really well. And the characters are still just as likable and interesting. Now, the question is, where is this going to end? Because we have these 2 episodes left. We have to obviously meet with Rex Igneous, but we also have the fact that Soren is finding out that his father is alive. Um, Viren is, I guess, having a crisis of conscience. Even if I don't, even if I still don't think it's believable, I still think that it's too easy and way too quick for him to have that, even with the experience of basically having died and living on borrowed time. It's just I don't I feel he was too far gone to be changed that easily. It's just it makes no sense to me. It's not realistic, in my opinion. And I've talked about that over and over. I'm not gonna like rant about it here, but um, we have a lot of stuff that's set up that I don't know if we're gonna be able to wrap up in this in these last 2 episodes. I do know that the next season that's coming out is also that is also under the Mystery of Erebos banner. So I'm thinking that's just what this arc is being called. And so at least these 2 seasons. I'm actually even questioning if Erebos is going to be revived by the end of episode 9. I'm actually thinking, and I think I mentioned this before, but I'm thinking he's probably not going to be. Like, my initial thought was that it was going to be at the end of the season is when he was going to get revived, and then that would actually work into next season, but I'm starting to question even that. I'm thinking he might not even get revived this season. Or not really revived, but, let out of his prison is more accurate. Um, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Um, we also still need to have uh God, mind is blanking. This is the first thing I'm recording today, so my mind's a little frazzled from just waking up. We still have to have Callum and Rayla actually, talk about shit. Like they've been talking about the fact that Callum is having some PTSD from, having his body taken over by Erebos, which is good. It's good to talk about that too, that kind of thing too. But they also need to talk about their relationship and the issues that they're having. Specifically, Callum's issues about her being gone for 2 years and how that's strained their relationship. Despite the fact that it's pretty clear they both do still love each other. I can understand why the relationship is strained and everything too. It's like I get it, but they do need to talk. They actually need to stop just dancing around it and actually discuss this with each other because they're not going to heal properly without doing so. Um, but yeah, it's kind of up in the air now as to what's going to happen to any of this. I don't see anyone dying. I will say that. I don't see anyone of our group that's heading in to meet Rex Igneous dying. I don't see Soren dying. I don't see any of that happening. It's and even with the coup happening. Okay, with the coup happening, I could maybe see the brother dying. Um, that's something I haven't touched on because we have the coup. Because after they had the trial for the architect in the camp, um, Janai did find her guilty, and even uh, Amaya, even Amaya had to admit that. Oh yeah, once I found out the facts, the information, it's like, oh yeah, she guilty as hell. But we can still show mercy because while she's guilty, it wasn't done out of malice or anything. It was done out of just ignorance. And Janai ended up going along with this because we figured she would, even if Amaya hadn't intersected. Um, Janai decides that the punishment will be what she has already faced with her hands being burned, as well as labor. She has to build a temple for them where they can safely enact their practices. This gives the architect time to atone for her actions as well as learn about this culture and their practices because she has to work with them to know how to build the temple, exactly what to have in it and everything. It's like that's going to take some knowledge of their cultural beliefs to do. So she's going to be learning throughout this process as well. And she seems repentant. She does. She was happy to be shown this mercy and even said that this will be her greatest work. She is actively willing to take on this punishment. Because I think she knew she was in the wrong. Like during the trial, she looked guilty. She looked like she felt bad for what she did. I mean, she was still upset at her hands being burnt. Of course she is. I mean, who wouldn't be? But she seemed to understand she was guilty. So she was willing to take on that punishment and was probably obviously relieved that it was as merciful as it was. Because we know that Janai's brother was kind of rooting for death. And he has his partner, who was part of the council as well. And now, like I said, they're planning a coup. Because Janai, in his eyes, is too soft. In his eyes, she's leading them down the path to their culture being erased. Which is bullshit, of course. It's absolute bullshit. But he's so stuck in kind of, let's be honest, supremacy that he's blinded. He is honestly being a supremacist for his people, looking down on the humans that have joined among them, trying to force his sister to not go through with the marriage with Amaya. All of this kind of stuff. It's not going as heavy as it could with the symbolism and the meaning behind all of this, but it's very clear what this is all representative of. It's representative of the likes of supremacists in real life who try to sugarcoat their words and try to act like it's for the good of their group, whether it be racial prejudice, whether it be religious, or money. I can't think of the word. Um, Wealth, status, that kind of stuff. You get the gist. No matter what the actual specific of it is, it's like supremacists like this who believe that because of their standing, their status, they're automatically better, and that they shouldn't mingle with the other kinds, and that the other kinds should be beneath them in order so that they themselves can preserve their own culture. It's like, yeah, that kind of stuff is very prevalent in real life, unfortunately. It's it's terrible, but it does exist. And this is very clearly meant to be representative of that. Even if they're doing it in a subtle way, which is actually a little appreciated. It doesn't always have to be super on the nose. It's a more subtle representation of that. And I mean, I understand his worries in this case because of the way this is handled. But at the same time, he's wrong. He's just completely wrong. He has no real legs to stand on. So, yeah. We'll see how all that pans out as well. But, in the meantime, we're going to get this started. We're going to get this started, hope for the best, and see where this finale leads us. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, like I said, we didn't even get the we didn't even get Erebos being freed or anything in this season. This was basically the build up to that kind of stuff. And the finale mostly focused on the Rex Igneous stuff, with the addition of Janai and Amaya's story as well, which, as I said last time, is probably my favorite part of this season. And that's not against anything with Rex Igneous or the bad guys or our heroes. It's nothing against that. And again, there's a lot I loved about this season. Most of it, I would say, for sure. But my favorite part was the Janai and Amaya stuff. And yes, part of that is gay. Part of that is the queer representation there. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's important to me, personally, because of being queer myself. It's important to me to see queer representation in media. That's why I always get so excited about it. It's why most of my ships are queer. It's why I tend to focus on that so much. Why I've run a panel at Youmacon multiple years about it. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a pretty big deal. And I felt it was handled extremely well. Janai and Amaya, their relationship feels natural. Even if it wasn't confirmed in previous season and was just heavily implied, it feels like after 2 years, it's like, okay, we had these strong implications. It's been 2 years. Now they're together and they are engaged to be married. And it's like, yeah, that feels believable. So the rest of their story isn't so much about their relationship. It's about Janai's brother and how he's kind of losing it a little bit. Like, the dude, like, I believe him when he says he cares for his sister, that he does and always will love her. I am 100% like believing him there. But he is without question acting through supremacy. He is without question acting through bigotry and hate, mistrust, and fear. His actions are definitely reflective of a lot of real life stuff. And he, like I said, basically enacts a coup. He uses an archaic tradition that was outlawed. So isn't even really valid in the first place. He uses this archaic tradition to challenge his sister after believing that he's gotten his partner and the rest of the council on his side, which he hadn't even done. Like, his partner was very much like questioning everything. Like, she loved him, and probably still does, I assume, but she was questioning this entire rebellion as it was. She was never fully for it. That was very clear. And on top of that, we see from her perspective, she tells him that the other horns are also not on their side, that they're not ready to betray the queen, that they still believe in her to some degree at least, even if they kind of have a little bit of misgivings about things. But he challenges her nonetheless because he believes that by joining together with humans, it's erasing his culture somehow. It's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But again, it's what it's reflective of in real life too, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. There's no basis of fact behind it. So, yeah. He ends up losing the duel because, of course, he does. He didn't even expect her to accept the duel. But he was clearly ready for her to, just in case. He was ready to fight. But she fought. She didn't finish it. She didn't kill him or anything, because of course she would never do so. And instead, she did still win the duel, and he's the one who got arrested. Just kicking and screaming the entire time, because he's honestly a big baby. And this will probably come back in the next season. Like, he's probably going to be in hell, he might escape from prison. He might escape from prison and either leave, run off, maybe try to take his partner with him, or try to plan an assassination or something, which I could very much see him doing. He's coming across as desperate enough and everything. I could see him going for that. Or maybe he'll just be pissy in prison. That would be fine too. Meanwhile, the entire thing with Rex Igneous starts off rocky, but they manage to win him over with a treat. But then it goes downhill again once Claudia arrives and fucks everything up. But we do see in this finale that Claudia does have the potential for redemption still. And I think it's pretty clear it's going to happen. We see that Terry is upset with her after everything goes down because of the cruel way she manipulates Rayla. I don't know why my mind blanked there. The cruel way she manipulates Rayla, which Terry's like, I can forgive all the dark magic and shit because you have a reason for that. You're trying to save your father. That cool. But that was cruel. It's like, I draw the line somewhere. Terry is a good being. He is a very good being. He's not a bad guy. So it makes sense that, like, really bad stuff, especially without any, like, real reason, would upset him. that's perfectly within character. Dog might start barking. I think a male person's coming. But anyway, yeah, everything kind of went down. The Rex did have a map on his tooth, which Terry was able to get with his silly putty. Yep, all that, all that. But our heroes were not able to get to it, which is a bad thing. She'll shut up in a second. You should be used to this by now. If you're new to the channel, I apologize, but yeah, she does this. Anyway, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes. We'll probably get to the next season quicker than we did with this one, but still not right away. It's coming this summer, I believe, probably in July. We'll probably get to it maybe this fall. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But this was definitely a really good season. It was a good finale. It didn't like wrap up this entire storyline, but honestly, I wasn't expecting it to at this point. We still got plenty more to go, and the bad guys, unfortunately, are kind of in the lead here. Rayla did get the coins back because Claudia did feel bad and went to give them back. The question is, how do you free the souls, though? How do you get Renan and Rayla's parents out of those coins? That's the big question. Because if that can be done, that would be a really big deal. Yeah, this is really good and really interesting, and I'm very, very excited to see more. I'll be honest, I was a little going into this season. I felt like, am I going to be sick of this at this point? Am I going to be tired of this series? Because I believe it was with this series that I was saying that I feel like it should have ended. With the last... Yeah, it was definitely this series. I was saying it should have ended with the last book because it felt like a proper end. And with the time skip and with it being done well, I'm okay with it continuing at this point. I still feel like the last volume felt like a proper end, and I feel like it should have ended. Like, the Erebos stuff was obviously never really concluded, and that's really the only hang-up I have. Luckily, this season has ended up being really good, to the point where it's like, okay, I'm invested enough to see this through now. I'm okay with it continuing. Even if there's plans for a lot more, like too many more volumes, I feel. They don't need as much as they're planning for. I think there's going to be like 3 more there's in the plan, 3 or 4 more, something like that. And it's like, you don't need to do that. There's a point where it's like you're taking this too far. You really are. But it's like, we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this finale? And we have to now decide what will replace it. This is a donation reward series, so we have to take that into account. Let me get up the thing here. My Word document. If it'll come up, there we go. So yeah, this is a donation reward, and right now it's our only donation reward slot, so we can't replace it with anything else. Luckily, we already have a donation reward that we said we were going to get back to, and that is Fire Force Season 2. I said I was going to get back to it once we got all the episodes downloaded. When I got Opera GX as a browser, it became so much easier to get those episodes. So I got all the episodes downloaded, and now we can get back to Fire Force. Now we can do that without really any trouble. And I'm definitely excited because a new arc is starting in Fire Force. I don't know if we'll get through all of it. I don't know if we'll be able to get through everything with the rest of Fire Force right away. We might take one more break at some point, but we'll see. We'll see. The dog is still acting weird. Stop growling over there. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll take it as it goes. If I feel like we need one more break at some point, we'll handle that then. But yeah, so that will be returning basically after our week break. Once again, as a reminder for everyone, we are taking next week off because I got this Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. And I want to spend time with this. So, plus next week, taking a break is always good for mental health and refreshing for reactions and stuff. So, we'll be back after next week. But yeah, and that's when we'll start to get to more Fire Force. So thank you so much once again for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.